But
That sounds very creepy.
It's scary, actually.
AI voice recognition, no, uploading and mimicking, right?
Yeah. Well,
Fine.
there's another video on YouTube that I can get.
You should do that.
Dr. Grosh
You should do that. I'm gonna sing a song in Spanish for you guys, I promise. So welcome, Brad, should we do a Spanish introduction? Hola otra vez todos mis amigos. Esta clase es número 7 de lógica. Aristotle, no sé, yo no sé cómo se llama Aristotle en español. Creo que es muy próximo, todo simplemente Aristotle, pero no sé exactamente. Me hace falta cafeína, café. Yo va debajo de las escaleras por la café, el retraso de todo se empieza en ese momento. Un momento, por favor. I will sing a song in Spanish, you guys. You have to wait.
well, I got four, I knew that. Memento.
Some of it.
Oh, yeah. Memento. Most of the time, my only foreign language is a very objectionable version of French.
That's what.
So let's see. Check to see if I heard back from Facebook.
What was this that you wanted?
Father, good morning.
But there's all, isn't there always a time where manipulates to make you look like you're talking, saying stuff that you didn't say?
Yeah,
Isn't that good?
Oh, yeah.
that, but yes.
I mean, even with the facial.
Well, there's a lot of very very.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're living in an age of disinformation. I mean, so it seems like that's one thing accelerated. Maybe whereas.
With like a 30-second clip, you can reproduce a fairly convincing audio, but it depends on the mannerisms of the person and how it's like programming like an American English accent. So
Well, other people aren't here yet, but Father Ben, as I promised, if you don't mind, could you start us in a prayer? Every time you have a priest in the classroom, we'll always start with a prayer. Otherwise, I don't feel qualified.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God our Father, we thank you for the gift of this new day, for the gift of life, for the gift of health, for the gift of wisdom and knowledge. We ask you to be with us through the course of this lecture. Bless Dr. Gratian for his efforts. Bless each and every one of us, and bless the Mother Church. This is our prayer through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you so much, Father. Tonight, in terms of business, Spirit and Life, verse 6. I can't wait to show you the intro I'm going to do. I cannot wait. Okay, it's gonna be really fun. Because I feel like I deserve this. I feel like I'm going to be given a very good talk on focusing on Saint Anthony of Egypt and Benedict of Nursia. That's the back end of the talk. And then I'm going to have a message to Protestants in the middle. Like, hey, Protestants, listen to this. And I'm going to talk about a nice summary of the patristic church history, both secular and sacred. But I'm going to open up with a really fun. Susan Sarandon is involved. FYI, Betsy. Okay, I have two songs for you guys. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll save it for later in the class. I don't know. We did a Spanish introduction, Father Ben, before you came up. That's good for the kind of nonsense. Let's get to the material. But maybe we'll sing. I kind of want to sing later, though. I really do. We'll see. Okay, so guys, I have 12 pages of Aristotle notes. Yeah, actually, I gotta sing this song now because it's the intro to my Aristotle notes. So remember last year when I sang "My Girl," the funny version? Remember? I got so much chronology, statisticians envy me. I got more dates on the board than a farmer who's his rain. Remember? I couldn't get through it. So I got so much Aristotle notes, philosophy majors envy me. I got virtue ethics and syllogisms. I guess a genius I gon' be. Aristotle, I only have one question for you. What's your last name? I mean, going by one name's kind of weird, bro. And then he showed me that he was registered in Wisconsin and his license said Aristotle Jones. Aristotle Jones. That's his last name. Isn't that crazy? Never would guess his last name was Jones.
All the Greeks had lots.
They were all Jones. They were all Jones and Smith. Well, the other, since Barb, you inspired me. Those ski poles are just absolutely crushed. That is awesome. Guys, so let's get the singing out now. So there's a real cheesy country song. It's just disgusting. The lyrics are yeah, I am. All my friends are pirates. This is who I am. I'm better as a memory than as your man, right? That would only be worse though, and more cheesy and gross if it was done in a Spanish song, right? Todos mis amigos están pirates. Eso es ser verdad. Estoy mejor con una memoria que tu hombre. That is disgusting. Okay, that is. Can you like a guy like in like a Jimmy Buffett shirt in
I just.
Cabo, yeah.
I got the names wrong. So
Wow, Dave, you thought he was Zimmerman?
Oh, sorry. Were you saying?
Dave, thanks for listening. Guys, thanks for paying attention to my performance here. I guess
No,
not.
it's really good. We just don't speak Spanish and we're really like counter.
Yeah, well, Sam, you know what? Sam, you can get out. The door's right there. You can leave. Okay, down to business. So far, we've had one good thing happen in class so far. Father Ben led us in prayer. Thank you, Father. Everything else was nonsense. Now to serious stuff. So we are discussing over the course of these 2 days, Aristotle. As you can see behind me, Aristotle part 1. As you can see from the syllabus, everything is worked in a stacked, orderly fashion, of course, and chronologically sensitive. Socrates, we talked about him first because he taught Plato. Plato is Aristotle's teacher. Okay, and so we're going to get after Aristotle. You guys wait. You guys ready? Like the next 2 classes, all Aristotle. His dates are 384 to 322 BC. He was, in fact, which is kind of crazy because his star pupil, right? Aristotle's star pupil is Alexander the Great. That Alexander the Great is the student of Aristotle. He actually dies. Aristotle dies a year after Alexander. Even though Aristotle was born in 384, he's decades older than Alexander. Alexander, of course, this super shooting star flash in the pan, dies while on campaign in Babylon, 323 BC. Aristotle actually outlives him. Little is known about Aristotle's early life, except that his last name was Jones. That's about it. He was born in a city called Stagira, Stagira, in northern Greece. At the age of 17 or 18, he joins what? Only best students need to apply here. The age of 17 or 18, what does he do?
Goes to Harvard.
He goes to Harvard. He does that thing that they did in the Social Network movie when they have to they stand out in the freezing cold and have to answer questions about the statue. He founds Facebook, then someone accuses him of mean tweets. He's banned, deplatformed. Then after all that, he goes to Plato's Academy in Athens. Goes to Plato's Academy in Athens, and he'll stay there for the next 20 years. Okay. After Plato dies, so again, really quickly in recap, Northern Greece, age 17, goes to college, quote unquote, at Plato's Academy and gets like 9 PhDs. I guess that's what you do over the course of 20 years of school. Or he's like Bill and Ted, and he just like parties all the time. Takes 20 years to finish his degree. What, I don't know. But he's there for 20 years. Shortly after he dies, who's going to enlist his services? Who calls him up? I don't know how they communicate. It sends a mule with a note on the back. I don't know. Philip II of Macedon. And he says, famously, right, I would like you to tutor my son. He does. Aristotle is arguably, maybe even more so, Socrates, definitely. Socrates is the wandering kind of stage. Socrates is the wandering stage, looking for the smartest man in the world. It happens to be you. Oh, I can't believe it. You know, the Poria questions, gadfly. Plato already, kind of founds the university system, but Aristotle is arguably the world's first polymath. I love this word. It's more colloquially referred to as Renaissance man. And by the way, just to prove how incredibly progressively feminist I am, right? Renaissance man or woman, okay? But of course, like Renaissance, like Hildegard of Bingen, we'll talk about her, one of the greatest Renaissance men in world history. Yes, man, obviously meaning, male or female, people. Renaissance man is the more like common term. I like polymath, is way cooler. Poly, multiple mathematics. That's sick, right? So his writings cover, ready for this? And you probably know this, but Aristotle covers these topics, among others: zoology, metaphysics, biology, physics, logic, ethics, aesthetics, drama, music, poetry, rhetoric, psychology, linguistics, economics, politics, even meteorology, geology, and of course, governmental theory or political science. He kind of invents the political science field. Remember we said last class, Plato, who is his teacher, said education is kind of binodal. What is it? Remember, what do you say about that? Good recap, pop quiz. Education is blank blank. What do you say? Remember, it has two tributaries that flow out from a source. What is education? People don't answer. Yeah, I was gonna start singing again. I was gonna be forced to sing. Guys, in my hippo lecture in 2 weeks, I'm gonna sing Mariah Carey. Anyone interested? Baby, when you left, I lost a part of me. It's still so hard to believe. That one.
Songs are they,
Gymnastic and musical. Yeah, thank you, Pat. It's excellent. It's exactly correct. So in a sense, you can say, remember, now this is very important. Please don't misunderstand it. Don't forget this. Don't overlook this. Socrates and Plato are over here. Aristotle's over here. The demarcation point is between Plato and Aristotle, right? In many ways, Socrates being the star of so many of the Platonic dialogues and all that, it's hard to distinguish where Socrates ends and Plato begins. They're both very abstract forms. And as we said so many times, right? St. Augustine, our patron saint, is very influenced by Plato, and especially at his time, Neoplatonic thought. That school of philosophy already into the AD period. Aristotle is very much science guy, both polymath and scientist. He's very much like, Aristotle didn't create the scientific method, but he's about like kind of empiricism and testing stuff. And hence, I mean, that's how you do things like zoology, biology, geology, right?
Do you think there'd be less of a gap between the two if we had Aristotle's dialogues?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
Those are lost, aren't they?
see, okay, so this is the thing about, which is so cool, why I actually, with all jokes aside, do love being a historian, is that you're always waiting for someone to Indiana Jones style find that lost manuscript, right? Maybe, yeah, if you found it. From what we know now, from the extant evidence, and especially the largest opinion that we have, obviously, about Aristotle is formed by his commentators, right? Whether it's the Muslims that get him first, or St. Thomas Aquinas, perhaps more famously or more important for our Western tradition. But so we're looking through him already through like the reflection in a mirror or whatever through the glass, like on a second removed level, maybe. But suffice to say, from what we know and what's been classically told, there is this kind of like the separation point of Aristotle being more scientist. What we discover is that more kind of like focused on here and now. And Aquinas, the reason maybe his philosophy is so unbelievably attractive, and I agree, we're going to do 6 classes on St. Thomas Aquinas. 6, I tell you, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6, I said.
6 is very small for the size of his works.
How dare you?
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you is such a great thing, because how dare you said seriously is so incredibly school marmish, right? It's like a library, like, how dare you, Johnny, talk in the library? And it's so like scolding. When it's said, it's just so funny. Exactly. It's just so funny. We're going to talk a lot about Aquinas, and maybe the reason why his philosophy is so attractive, I think, is because it's very sciencey and earthy, while also being infused by that divine heavenly intervention, you can say, just grace, right? I mean, famously, as what will you have for your reward? Thomas, our Lord says to him, you've written well, nothing but you, Lord. Everything is like straw, right? Going back now to gymnastic and musical, despite those differences, Pat, thank you, that's the perfect answer. Aristotle is Plato's student, so he agrees, and that's how he becomes applied math. Okay, all these things he studies, physics, biology, zoology, metaphysics, he becomes applied math. It's like, yeah, Plato's right. I'm going to go in a different direction, perhaps, but Plato's right that education is gymnastic and musical. Gymnastic of the body, and you can even like bend gymnastics to say kind of earthy stuff, right? Biological, zoological. Animals are very body, right? They're very just physical. Whereas musical, metaphysics, kind of higher philosophical sciences, political theory. Okay. Aristotle is the founder of the Peripatetic school, okay, in the Lyceum in ancient Athens. It's an informal institution who, according to this commentator, members conducted philosophical and scientific inquiries. Peripatetic means what? Peripatetic is like itinerant. Well, what does that mean? I'm a peripatetic preacher. What would that mean? I live in 1826 New York. I'm an itinerant preacher, peripatetic preacher. Hey everyone, I've been suffering a deep case of the blues. I asked my doctor about peripatetic 3 times a day, 500. Sounds like
Peripatetic preacher in New York City, you might also be called a street corner preacher.
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Walking, given to walking about. Rootless, kind of like mobile. Yeah. You guys remember last year I gave a whole talk in a Southern accent? You guys remember that?
Yes.
That was good times. Do you guys know that Aristotle is not blank? Talk about illogical. Well, that narrows it down. Aristotle is not blank. Yes.
It's not a woman.
Okay, that's true. That's very logical, Betsy. 100% correct. Aristotle was not a citizen of Athens. Isn't that crazy? So Plato was allowed to found his school like legit style. They even like hooked him up with wireless internet and all that. But thanks, Sam. But Aristotle, Sam, my opinion of you after you came in, ignored my Spanish song, like plummeted to like unplumbable depths. It was like below, it was subterranean. I was like, I hate this guy. And now you laugh, you're like, this, you're back in my good graces.
It's all manipulation.
It's all manipulation.
We gotta start from the bottom, right?
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
Everything was that in Spanish.
Drake. How did what's that in Spanish? Empecemos. Empecemos, what's bottom? I don't know what bottom is. I don't know either. Yeah, I don't either.
What is it?
What's the word for floor in Spanish?
Floor,
Oh.
what is floor in Spanish? What?
Floral.
Floral, yeah. In French, rez-de-chaussée is the bottom floor. So it'd be c'est commencé à la rez-de-chaussée et maintenant ils sont à la haut et toute l'équipe est ici avec nous. Toute l'équipe est là avec nous. We're all here, the whole team. I don't know what is floor. Pavimento? Pavimento might be Italian for floor. I'm not sure. I don't know, guys. Who cares what I say? This
This is called a plaza, maybe.
Plaza, yeah, plaza, exactly. We can be like, I can make an awesome Spanish rap song right now, just like todos mis amigos están en la playa, todo en la playa, just all about the beach, right? Hay mucho sol, todo no está nublando, mucho sol en la playa. And then Brad King can work his beatbox into that. I don't know. Okay, so Aristotle is not a citizen of Athens, so he has to found this peripatetic school, walking about, kind of Socratic style. And so there's already those differentiations from Plato. The student of Plato accepts Pat's awesome distinction about gymnastic and musical education, becomes a polymath, but he's more kind of walking about, and he becomes truly peripatetic, itinerant by going to Macedon to tutor Philip II. Okay. Aristotelianism, this school of thought that is from which he takes his name, is characterized by, ready for this? Deductive logic, the analytical inductive method, a study of natural philosophy and metaphysics. Aristotelianism, okay, so guys, we have 12 pages, Father Ben. 12, I tell you, 12 pages to get through. We're only on page 1. We've got a lot to get through. So this is like Aristotle, this lecture, these next 2 lectures, excuse me, so part 1, part 2, are the first like deep investigation we've done all semester. We've kind of been just like, a little on the surface, like really deep here. But again, a philosophical tradition characterized by 1, deductive logic, 2, the analytical inductive method, 3, natural philosophy, and 4, metaphysics. Of course, I don't have to explain to you, metaphysics is like spiritual physics, right? The metaphysical realm is the supernatural realm. So Aristotle is not so much science guy that he denies like external realities, or he's 100% against Plato's formal, I almost want to call it a theology. Plato and his forms, the abstract realm. No. Okay. What are some of his main ideas? You guys ready for this? Again, I don't know where to number. We're probably like number 6 now. I have like 35,000 things to talk about with him. He is absolutely so baller. I mean, I think you already get that I think that, but he's so unbelievably important. So I don't know how to tell you how to take notes or what to write down. Write down everything. What are some of his main ideas? His main ideas, above all, involve this. This is what we said earlier. Attached to a polymathematical appreciation, very much like Socrates said, a true philosopher is a lover of the whole, not just the parts, loves everything, right? He believes we should attack this whole, what he would call reality, with science and empiricism. And he believes, in a very Catholic sense, that what should our attitude about reality be? This is very proto-Christian of him. If his whole thing is like there's a whole thing called reality out there, and we can know stuff about it through scientific experiment, empirical evidence.
That you can trust your sense of
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly. There's so many
That
old.
we are able to seek truth.
Exactly. The kind of maybe Pontius Pilate is the founder of relativism, right? John chapter 18, what is truth? When he's looking at the way, the truth, and life himself. But a lot of old schools, there's cynical school, literally they call themselves the cynics. You have the sophistry in general, which all these guys railed against. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the sophists who loved saying very pretty, beautiful, rhetorical, flourishing things that meant nothing. Aristotle believes, thank you, Betsy, keep it simple as possible. Reality is real. You can trust reality. And in fact, people have said, right, without this starting point, there would never be any science. If I can't say that 2 + 2 is 4 because, well, it depends upon the opinion of math. I don't know. Maybe math decides tomorrow 2 + 2 is 5. What is math? We never progress. If we have radical skepticism, nothing gets done. So Aristotle is anti-skeptic. Aristotle believes reality can be trusted, reality is knowable, and we can get at it through scientific experiments. These perceptions about reality are called phenomena. Okay? Phenomena are facts that we ascertain through deductive or inductive reasoning about how things work, right? They are clues unto unlocking the larger reality. He is just as humble as Socrates. He's not saying I can get the whole heavens into my head. Not at all. He's saying there's tons of mystery and things that are even that are ununderstandable, that they're beyond the scope of human reason. But that foundationally reality is real, it can be trusted, we can get at it through science. Helpful in solving mysteries that do arise in the phenomena of reality is something called endoxa. That sounds like a pharmaceutical drug. Endoxa. Try endoxa today. Endoxa. Endoxa. What is that?
Something to teach.
Endoxa is the kind of presuppositions, the assumptions we take from quote unquote smart people / authority. Endoxa are things that float around in the human, let's say even collective consciousness. Well, I know this is true. I've never been to China, but I've heard that Chinese people have this deep love of their ancestors, right? This kind of Confucianist love of the ancestors. I can't verify that anyway. I've never been there myself. I don't know that. It's just endoxa. It's like accepted knowledge smart people have said, right? It's presupposed things. And that's even kind of a weak example. It's more like just deep seated beliefs, often like ethical beliefs. It is not right. Polygamy is wrong. Let's say, endoxa. People said to come to tradition, it's not right for a guy to have like 3 wives. That becomes problematic. I don't have to even give you this kind of like, scientific thing. Just come down to us. Everyone knows it's not. That's not cool. Yeah, exactly. That's endoxa. Aristotle then tries to get at philosophical mysteries by using both phenomena and endoxa to think through these questions and in a deductive sense, right? Deduce down to what seems to be. Remember, deductive logic is always true. In a deductive syllogism, going back to our fundamentals, is always true if what is true.
If the premises are correct.
If the premises are correct, the answer cannot be false. Exactly. Exactly. So Aristotle, again, main beliefs, believes reality is real, but there are some kind of unknowable mysteries. We get through reality through phenomena, and we use both phenomena, observable phenomena, plus these kind of assumptions and thoughts and doxa, this kind of free-floating collective consciousness, assumptions about things to get to answers. Now, anyone know what the collection of Aristotle's 6 works on logical analysis are called?
Organon.
Yes, the organon, which means literally, right? Organ, but instrument, tool. This is the standard collection of Aristotle's 6 works on logic and logical analysis, and the Peripatetics, his followers, this Peripatetic school, named this as such. Now, we're done with page 1. We have 12 pages to cover. Yeah, we'll probably get through maybe, I don't know, 4 pages, 5 pages. Ready for these numbers? These are the 6 books of the Organon. Number 1, categories. Number 2, on interpretation. By the way, if anyone's watching this on YouTube later, or whatever, like, yeah, like this class is always, even though as we go deep with Aristotle, it's not a class, we could do an entire semester, obviously, just on Aristotle. I encourage you to let your mind go wild, like go read these books for yourself, go even read the Cliff Notes and build out, like a lot of these things, pause the video and, let me go study further. Once more, this time without interruption, 1 through 6. 1 is categories, 2 is on interpretation. Number 3 is prior analytics. Number 4, posterior analytics. Number 5, topics. And our number 6, sophistical refutations. Refutation of these guys who have beclowned the public square with their, fancy rhetoric saying nothing. It's kind of like when I started speaking Spanish and sing songs. That's sophistry. Just complete nonsense for no point. He's refuting these guys. Okay, you guys want to know what some of these things talk about? I think you probably do. Bessie does. The categories, number 1, book number 1, include Aristotle's 10-fold classification of all that exists. Surprise, surprise. He's categorizing this reality that he says is real, right? These 10-fold classifications are in order: substance, quantity, quality, relation, place, time, situation, condition, action, and passion. Those are his categories.
Did you see those again?
No. Substance, quantity, quality, relation, place, time, situation, condition, action, passion. Think of passions, think of an Italian woman out a window throwing a potted plant at her.
It's not what he means.
Jilted husband. That's exactly what he means. That's exactly what he means. He means when love or spat goes wrong, people fight in the public square. Passion. That's what it really means.
Well, I think all of them, first off, the division between the one and the latter mind of substance and accident. Accidents are just qualities. They're not things in and of themselves. They're qualities that are only adhere to things. They only exist in substances. Substances are actual things like dogs, cats, trees, human beings, that kind of thing. And then you can get into all the different subdivisions. Of course, some of them are pretty obvious, like quality. Qualities are colors, roughness, sounds, things like that. Quantity is the number which adheres to something. Aristotle holds that number really has to exist within. Is number is a creation of matter, like it without matter, without number. What are some other things that the difference between place and situation is a little confusing. Place, I think, is like a place, like the church is a place, but you say this church is situated in Moscow. So that's the difference between those two things, I believe.
That's cool.
Relation is really, really important because Aristotle says, like, there's an interesting problem involving causality. Like, what causes the father to become a father is the existence of the child causes the father to be a father. So which comes first, the father or the child? The relation between the two, that's an example of what he, like the fathership, sonship thing, that's a relation. It's its own existent thing. It's not a substance because it's dependent on other things, but it does exist. It's a category of being. And so that's
Cool, thank you.
rundown.
That's awesome. That's a very both very good for brevity, nice brief and kind of concise, pithy, but very well elucidated.
And relation is important to modern deny the existence of relations as a thing that actually exists. It just basically say, well, we categorize them with minds.
Yeah, we make up, yeah, this is the whole, and that's awesome because this is not awesome, that reality. That's very bad for modern philosophy, but that's awesome. Your point, we're going to talk about, again, the nominalism, William of Ockham, Descartes, kind of the radical skepticism that even unintentionally, Descartes does a pilgrimage to Our Lady to thank her for cogito ergo sum. Like, and it's like, he's like, this is a great breakthrough, I think therefore I am. And like atheists are like, this is awesome. Like, so reality is just matrix invented in my mind. Like, there are no universals following off Occam, so we're going to talk about all of that. That's why this class, again, is going to be very fun. I think it already is, but we'll get very, very fun throughout the semester. Actually, the coolest thing we're probably going to do, I'm not even kidding, I'm very excited to discuss David Foster Wallace. I'm going to have like Mike Leach quotes, chess theory. I'm actually most excited in this class, truly, for the 2 lectures I think I have on blue collar apologetics. I have that book. It's going to be interesting. It's okay. So we talked about we'll have at that point talked about like 20 logical classes. John Martinoni. I encourage you to get this book. You can get all the books I've listened to. So it's blue collar apologetics. I haven't even started to read it yet. I'll probably read it 2-3 weeks out before we start to have it really fresh for my notes.
You're telling us to get a book you haven't read?
I will no. I haven't read it at this point. What I'm saying is I have assigned it for we discuss it come maybe early April or late March. What I'm saying is I'll probably read it over spring break, so it's super fresh for our discussion. I'm excited to read it because it's blue collar apologetics. I'm already inferring from the title. Martinoni's gonna be like very watered down in a good way. It's very simplistic. How do you defend the faith? And we'll be able to hopefully you guys are, this is not a fake compliment, very, very sophisticated Catholics, very smart Catholics, a lot of life experience and intelligence. Okay, so that's a positive. Plus it's very simplistic text, plus the logical fallacies. Like, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be very, very fun. What does Martinoni suggest to Catholics wanting to evangelize now? Like the wonderful focused missionaries we have and people who are at the forefront, of course, Father Ben, Father Chase, anyone in ministry. Yeah, so that's down the road. Okay, interpretation, Aristotle talks about, different, he talks about judgment, especially, interpretation, duh. And relations between things like affirmative, negative, universal, and particular propositions. There's always this distinction between the universal and the particular, the universal and the general, right? The universal, kind of the common, and the kind of very case by case particular. Prior analytics introduces his syllogistic method, argues for its correctness, discusses inductive inference, talked about syllogisms and inductive reasoning till we were blue in the face. That's why my shirt became, it was a white shirt when it started. Became so blue in the face talking about syllogism and osmosified down into my shirt. Posterior analytics deals with definition, demonstration, inductive reasoning once more, and polymathematics, scientific knowledge specifically. That's book number 4. Topics, book number 5, treats issues in constructing valid arguments, inference that is probable rather than certain. And again, we talked about this distinction in our arguments between valid and cogent and, just like probable arguments, right? Is something true or is it, likely? And Betsy correctly said earlier, in a deductive reasoning syllogistic construction, if the premises are correct, there is no other option. If the premises are right, according to deductive reasoning, the conclusion must be, right? It cannot be otherwise. Final, book number 6. This may be where you might want to start. Okay, I don't know. I want to read some by Aristotle. Read on sophistical refutations, a treatment of logical fallacies, and provides a key link to his opinion and work on rhetoric. This is very cool. Rhetoric, 100% a lost art in the modern world, not at Wyoming Catholic College, I assume. They assume they still keep to, oratory and rhetoric and the kind of classical traditions. Maybe at the Logos school, they also. That's great. Yeah, it's awesome. I wish everyone did.
They're senior orations that WCC.
You what? Sorry.
There's senior orations where it's like you give a 25-minute presentation.
That is so cool. That is super cool.
Answer questions for.
You should do.
3 professors.
If you ever have a time machine and travel back in time, you should be like the Catiline orations of Cicero and accuse your professors of making a coup. Like accuse them on the Senate floor.
That would be an incredible.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah.
So similarly, at Logos, seniors write a thesis and have to defend it in front of 3 judges and an audience.
I'm not gonna lie. Again, I have nothing sarcastic or that is just sincerely great. That is awesome.
Laura's writing her practice one now, she's arguing.
What is her, yeah, what is her topic?
So it's not the final one, but it's a practice, and she's writing that classical schools should require students to take Latin.
That's her.
That's what she's arguing.
That's very cool. I'm in her corner. I think more Latin the better. Languages in general, it's too bad we've so gone away from that. Okay. That's his organon. Cool name too, organ, that's pretty sweet. Okay, that's page number 2, on to page number 3. Look, all major scholastic philosophers looking way ahead wrote commentaries, especially on interpretation. Okay, and this included Aquinas, William of Ockham, John Duns Scotus. Ockham and Scotus also wrote commentaries on the categories and sophistical refutations. That where I, assumed where I said you should kind of go first. Immanuel Kant thought, quote, there is nothing else to invent after the work of Aristotle. That's freaking sweet. Like, that's awesome. Kant is by himself a legendary philosopher. Anyone know what Immanuel Kant's big tick was, his thing? What did he do that, like, you can literally set your watch by? Because he did. He'd go for a walk in Königsberg, like, every day at the exact same time. Sounds like he needs to take Exodon or whatever the drug is. Indoxa, yeah. Immanuel Kant needs an Indoxa prescription, yeah. Okay. What else here? No, done. That's it. We're done with Organon. Let's talk about some of his quotes. This is fun. These are quotes from posterior analytics, okay? All instruction given or received by way of argument proceeds from pre-existent knowledge. There we have an Indoxa once more, right? And he says, secondly, how could we apprehend and learn without a basis of pre-existent knowledge? Does this sound logical to you? Is that a logical statement? Do you agree with him? Does that go? Let's put him to our plumber test. None of these are A, right? In the plumber formula, they're not religious. And so before I test, let's do B1 before we go to Ag 333 and make our plumber guess at the end. Does that make sense? Why or why not? Is that fallacious? Is that correct? Is that cogent? Is it true? How could we apprehend and learn without a basis of existent knowledge? He is saying it is 100% true that the only way we can learn things, apprehend and learn, just latch onto and really learn, interiorize, commit perhaps to long-term memory is having this endoxa, pre-existent knowledge. Do you agree? Yes or no? And don't just agree with him because, well, he's Aristotle, bro. I mean, okay, like, so what? Is this true or not?
We have to have inductive knowledge before we can go on to deductive.
Okay, so how much in agreement are you? Give me a percentage. How much in agreement are you that we could not apprehend and learn without endoxa? How much do you agree? Pre-existent knowledge. Is it essential? We need this or no? Who wants to be like, it's not necessary at all? I'm going to show up at an extraterrestrial planet and just all know things. I don't know anything about them. Whatever. I'll just learn straight science. I don't need endoxa.
Well, you still bring your own
I have thought my own.
experience.
And maybe
maybe
right. That is so smart. And maybe we can make our own kind of cogito just about cognition in general and say, like, to think is to engage in endoxa. I cannot think without pre-existent knowledge, maybe, right? Okay. Proper object of unqualified scientific knowledge is something which cannot be other than it is. A proof, even from true, indemonstrable, and immediate premises, does not constitute knowledge. Okay. Ignorance, defined not as negation of knowledge, but as a positive state of mind, is error produced by inference. Ignorance is error produced by inference. Here he lays out one of his, remember the earlier laws of non-contradiction and laws of the excluded middle and all that? It was like, that was an early class. Although this predates your arrival in the class. If A is a quality of B, B cannot be a quality of A. If A is a quality of B, B cannot be a quality of A. He who possesses particular demonstration does not know the universal. Finally, last point that I want to get your opinion on. Opinion is concerned with that which may be true or false and can be otherwise. I love this one. What are your thoughts on this statement by Aristotle? Posterior analytics, opinion is concerned with that which may be true or false and can be otherwise.
Just remind me, I need to break down into Aristotle to be able to relate to this.
Yeah, Aristotle's so awesome. And my knowledge of Aristotle on a scale of 1 to 100 is like 3. Like nothing, like I know. Having this class, again, total shout out to Father Chase Hasenroll, who again is the brainchild behind this specific, like I've said a million times, anyone new to maple syrup history, I love my job so much and I always have free reign to do whatever class I want. In advance this semester, Father was just like, hey, I think it'd be an awesome idea to do a logic course. I would have never arrived there on my own. It was his endoxa, his pre-existent knowledge of the importance of logical deduction, all that led us to this class. And I feel the same way you do. Even just doing this lecture on Aristotle, I need to get in Aristotle more.
Can you say the quote again?
Yeah. Opinion is concerned with that which may be true or false and can be otherwise.
That's almost the definition of opinion.
Right. But it's worth saying in our very relativistic society where my opinion and my feelings trump reality, right?
Right, my truth versus your.
Yeah,
truth.
this is a complete blowing up of that. No, your truth.
When you say your truth versus my truth.
You mean my opinion.
your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said earlier, logic 101, it is very logical to me that everyone has a relativism works for opinion. Sure. You know, you guys aren't even real. That's my opinion. You guys are a figment of my imagination. Fine. I mean, you may want to commit me to an insane asylum, but I'm entitled to my opinion that you're not real. That doesn't mean that's true. Right? It doesn't matter how much I kick and scream and pout and this is my reality. Like, no, it's not reality. It's my opinion. And it may be true or false or simply otherwise. The otherwise maybe here is I'm nuts. I'm just off the spectrum, totally and crazy. But like, I'm entitled to say you're all part of my matrix. That's not reality though. And remember that connects back to his earlier point about reality being a real thing. Through empirical scientific evidence at which we can arrive, get at, study, that kind of thing. Now,
I think an example of a non-opinion is just going back to principles of logic is A is B and B is C, then A is C. That there's no way for that to be otherwise.
yeah.
It's impossible.
And you saying it's impossible and it's just totally like, mutually exclusive and must be this way is exactly the point of this class and logical investigations to arrive at these kind of like a forks in the road where, no, it must be, if it's this way, it cannot be the other way. And that's your excellent quote from 35 seconds ago. I need to get into more Aristotle against the relativists. Hey, yeah, we're like drowning in relativism in our society today. Aristotle provides a life vest. He provides, some keys to exiting that. Who's even better than him? Again, Thomas Aquinas.
All of all of Euclid is non-opinion because it's, a pure.
Euclid is a mathematician, right?
Right, yes, geometry.
Right. Yeah, mathematics is great too.
Some of it is, I'm sorry, I mean, debate that's on.
Tell us why denounce you from
The parallel, the postulate of parallel lines is an opinion. It can be otherwise, in certain drawing geometries, it is otherwise. Aristotle says that no two parallel lines meet, but you can have a geometry where they do meet or never meet. Depending on the shape.
Yes, but that's a definition rather than a, he's defining parallel lines, and when you have a parallel lines meaning, that's a different definition of parallel lines.
Yes.
And so, they're not opinion things, they're giving two different definitions of parallel lines, and if you take Euclid's definition and then you say, parallel lines can meet, that's sort of a lie. But if you say that, what appear to be parallel lines in our universe actually can meet, that's taking it out of the realm of pure science.
But Euclid's geometry is concerned with whether there are parallel lines or not. He assumes that there are parallel lines, but on the sphere, there are no parallel lines. Or wait, excuse me, there are parallel lines on a sphere, but there's an infinite number of parallel lines.
There's no parallel lines, it's parallel.
They can be.
Guys, I have a question. So what happens though, if Euclid goes out to the bars in Athens, gets crazy hammered, next day, super hungover, red flush face, is mathematics true in that case? That's my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is not about premise. We're asking, is this an opinion? Can this be otherwise? And I think the answer.
My opinion is Euclid drinks too much.
But then
That's my opinion.
But once we've established that, that definition of parallel line, this is what parallel lines do. Everything that follows from that is fine. There's nothing new.
Yeah, fair enough. Guys, we need to set up a debate between Ryan Alexander and Betsy Johnson. I know who's gonna win that debate.
Great debate 2025.
Yeah, I know who's gonna win that
I
debate.
think
Also,
we're gonna have
You know-
much more recently than I have.
When Betsy,
It's book 10, prop 1, he jumps into three-dimensional geometry without giving more definitions. Problem.
that sounds like,
It's illogical, even though.
that sounds like a mathematical torture chamber.
It's not yet.
You had asked in an earlier class, what's the difference between knowledge and opinion?
Yeah,
And that's what I think.
that's Aristotelian, yeah. Knowledge and truth are 100% absolute. Opinion, perspective is
We
real.
may not always get it right, but our understanding. of
Yeah.
that Is X, so we can follow us. But maybe down the road we learn, Einstein was wrong. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Here's
Very
something
good.
which is not an opinion. I see that this chair is black.
Right,
It's not an opinion that you see it as black.
Correct.
yeah, we're taking, yeah.
Your vision and it might not objectively be black, but.
According to even the fact, according to even your limitations, you perceive that correctly, yeah.
Can it be otherwise? No, I can't say that the chair is black and for it to be otherwise.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's, again, that's the tools that we are in the process of and will have developed by semester's end of being able to apply these things to real life circumstances.
But what if there's people who see different color with their different eyes, so you could close one eye and see it as a different color?
Then it would still be true to that one and say, I close one eye and I see it as this color, and I close the other eye and I see it this color.
Yeah.
Color, but that's not an opinion, that's a fact,
Mhm.
even though whether it's conveying any truth about the color of the chair, that's a different question, but it's true, it's not an opinion that I see that the chair is this way.
Right.
Yes.
Guys, 3 more things on this page, 4 more quotes. So once more on deductive reasoning, we're not going to belabor the point, beating this dead horse from the, too much. All apologies to all horses. Premise number 1, every tree is a plant. Premise number 2, every plant is alive. Those are correct. Therefore, every tree is alive. Every tree is a plant. Every plant is alive. Therefore, those 1 and 2 being correct, the premises, the conclusion is correct that every tree is alive. All men are immortal. Socrates is a man, Socrates is mortal. Like Aristotle's very big, again, to deductive reasoning. Remember the 4 points we opened up about deductive analysis. Aristotle, this one I triple starred. What does this mean? This is awesome. And we're going to discuss this. We're going to quit today probably in the 30s, 9:30 something. We'll get through 5 or 6 pages. Again, these are 12 pages of part 1 and part 2. Next class, we're going to, having laid out the basic fundamentals of Aristotelianism and already covered a lot, and so we're going to cover some more. We're going to really dive into his political theory next class, and etc. And so we'll return to this in his political theory and his theory of virtue ethics. What is the golden mean? Aristotle was huge on the golden mean. So, and people say that the Catholic cardinal virtue of what draws from this, or even you can say to draw from this kind of.
Temperance.
Yeah, temperance and prudence as well too.
But
All virtues have this golden mean operating system. What does the golden mean? And what if I said it was like the Goldilocks theory or paradigm? What does the golden mean?
Well, because avoiding error on either side.
Exactly. And Christ says this in chapter Matthew 16:6. Okay. Christ will famously 10 verses later say, "You are Peter, upon this rock I'll build my church." Everyone knows that passage. But he says to these apostles, Matthew 16:6, beware the leaven of the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Like basically you can fall off the cart both ways. Beware the super liberal Sadducees who deny the resurrection, who ask him, "Oh, this guy had 7 wives, or this woman had 7 husbands, whose husband will she be in the resurrection?" And beware the super right-wing Pharisees. Just the happy medium, be only Christian, be truly fully Catholic, follow me. I am the way, the truth, and life. Sorry, go ahead. Moderation in all things. Moderation in all things is the golden mean. Finding a happy medium between scarcity and abundance. Now, the golden mean does not mean mediocrity, X. The golden mean does not mean laziness, it doesn't mean being average, just keep buzzing it. The golden mean means perfection. It means Matthew 5:48, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. The golden mean means, let's say you want to become the greatest swimmer in the world, like Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps won 22 gold medals. I don't know if they're all gold, 22 medals as a swimmer. He might have got there in the golden mean. The golden mean might have been him training 6 hours a day. That sounds a lot. No, 6 hours a day was the perfect level to fine-tune himself to win a gold medal. If he trained 7 or 8 because I'm always grinding, bro, that'd be false. He'd be too much. And if you just did 1 hour, it'd be too low. The golden mean for perfection was that and no more. That's what it means. Like, again, I tell you all the time, I'm so fascinated with languages, right? I would love to speak as many languages. The green stick? What is the green stick?
I think you mean like, so the correction, so let's say you have a vice. The way to correct the vice is to pull the stick in the other direction, right? Is this what you're talking about, Becky?
Yes,
So like, let's say you're lazy. You need to work harder.
Okay, yeah,
than you
sure.
were, so that when you stop that habit, or excuse me, you stop that intentional correction, it becomes a habit and it resets near.
Good, yeah, so that's a game of tug and rope between virtue and vice. And that virtue is that, yeah, I think 100%. Barb, you said it best.
That's just practical ethical advice. If you're dealing with any vice,
Right.
that's how you correct it.
What is the opposite virtue of, pride? Obviously humility. What is the opposite of lust? Chastity. Exactly. This is, look at this even kind of dietary stuff, right? Oh, so I'm overweight maybe or whatever. Well, I'll go on a diet. I'll eat less calorie intake. Or, my doctor said I need to, I'm not, I'm like pre-emphysema or something. Well, maybe I should stop smoking and reduce the vice of this, maybe I can't overnight go cold turkey, but I'll reduce this. In fact, there's a great story about this. This golden mean, yes, the stick, push and pull, tug of war. And the point I was making about languages was just saying, like, it wouldn't mean with the golden mean, like, well, then don't try to speak any languages, be mediocre. It might mean don't try to study 15 at a time, right? The golden mean, like, do 2 at a time or 1 at a time, and just the perfect middle. There's a great story of this monk, this Russian monk, who he was a brother and like a friar or whatever. He's a monk at this monastery, and these people came to see him and they were scandalized. It was like a tourist place because he was always drunk at the monastery. And they go and they report back to the abbot, like, your monk is drunk, he's terrible. And the abbot eventually, he's terrible. Yeah, exactly. Your monk is drunk like a skunk. Yeah. The money that I've been putting in this trunk, your donations, they will be debunked by me no more. Clean up your show. Yeah. I'm in a funk. Your monk is awful. He's drunk. And the abbot finally explains to him, this guy came to us. He had a terrible childhood. He was drinking like 20 beers a day. Now he's down to 7. He is a holy man, right? And the whole point is that you can't judge, you can't see. Him actually drinking 7 beers was coming down from that, working towards pulling the stick, working towards moderation. And on the outside, that's why Christ himself says, right? Remove the wooden beam from your eye first before you remove the splinter from your brother's eye. Do not judge. The measure you mete out measured out to you, you don't know. And that guy actually drinking 7 beers a day, he wasn't some degenerate drunk. He had moved down from 20. He was working closer and closer to the virtue of temperance, etc. The golden mean is finding the happy medium between scarcity and abundance.
In motivational theory, there's the concept of essential tension.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing.
Sure,
It's gotta be
sure.
hard enough to motivate.
Yeah.
So hard that
Oh man, essential tension. Dave Schmidt is the comment in the class so far. Essential tension golden mean works in my mind. It's perfectly seamless because exactly. So if imagine like a football coach training his team needs to have essential tension. If it's so light and everything's so buddy, we're not going to be good. But if he works them into the ground, they actually die training. That's also bad. It has to be hard enough they feel like we're being challenged, but also he's got our back. It's like just that perfect amount of difficulty, but maybe with like not easiness, but with love and encouragement. It's got to be a balance. How about parents, right? A parent who lets his kid, I'll come down to the basement with you and smoke weed, and you can totally like just hook up with your girlfriend, like totally permissive is awful. Well, so is a parent who's a tyrant, right? Who's always screaming at their kids. Like it's a balance, right? There's not, to be a good parent would be disciplined enough and firm when you need to, but also that your child always know how much you love him and you're always essential tension. Yeah. All right. Aristotle, 4 causes. The material cause. Material cause is like, what is the kind of basic, literally, to use the same word, material of something. So for a table, its material cause is wood. For a statue, it would be like marble. Matter, the material cause. The formal cause is the change or the movement. The change of the thing moving into something else. I'm going to give an example with wood in a second. The efficient cause or the agent cause. is that thing which causes it to change from matter to form. And then finally, the final cause, teleology, the purpose. So again, 4 causes: the material, the formal, the efficient, and the final. All of us walk in, I'm just give you one example. All of us walk in, we see a fine dining table set. Brad King and his court at table with wine, a super awesome feast. Everyone's there. We see that scene. And we focus in on this wonderful dinner table with food on it. What is the material cause? It is wood. What is the formal cause? The table. The wood from material to formal has moved from just wood, bunch of wood laying around, 2x4s, to this beautiful table. What was the
Just, when you say formal, I need a little help with that. What do you mean by formal?
formal is that which it changes into, the form which it takes.
Oh,
So material is the stuff laying around, the formal is the form which it becomes. So again, but we have to start at the end. We walk in, we see a dining table filled with food. What is the material cause of the dining table? What was it when it was just laying around? It was wood. What form has it now taken? The table. So the material cause is wood, the formal cause is table. What was the agent? What was the efficient cause? Cause number 3 that made it change from a bunch of wood to table? Carpentry. The carpenter himself. Okay, so those are you have a bunch of wood laying around, material cause, the form it takes, the table, and what was the agent, the efficient cause? Carpentry. What is the final purpose? Someone tell me. What is the remember, going back to the beginning, what is the final?
Sit at and eat at.
The dinner itself, the dining experience, exactly. Okay, so starting with the end in mind, when you have a bunch of wood laying around, Aristotle's big on teleology. Remember, you begin with the end in mind. That's very Christian, proto-Christian. All of our actions should be that one day God says to us, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." What did the Baltimore Catechism say is the point of being alive? To know, love, and serve God, and to be happy with Him in this world and the next. That's the teleological final cause of our lives. And we should build the material, formal, and efficient causes around that. But in this example, yeah, you see this dinner table, as Betsy said, that is the final cause. The final cause for us to enjoy a meal together. That's the final cause. That, looking back, being at the end, takes the material cause of the wood into the form of the table by the efficient agent, which is the carpenter. Freaking sweet. So I wanted to hold that very long. I was going to go 10 more seconds later. It was too much at one. Go ahead.
can you apply that same journey
Absolutely not. Whatever you're going to say, no.
to our faith? I mean, it's not material, is it?
Okay, so let's do it. So the final cause would be heaven, the beatific vision. Of course, it's the 4 final things. God of mercy, heaven, hell, death, judgment, heaven, and hell. But we're made for the beatific vision. So the final cause would be heaven. The material cause, I guess, would be like Adam and Eve style, like you are from dust to dust you shall return. We're from the earth, right? God breathes life into us, Genesis. Material cause. The formal cause is the person we take, and a person is an amalgamation, a combination of body and soul. A person is an angel and animal, right? Our souls are immortal; they never die, even as our body goes in the ground and corrupts until the second coming, until the resurrection, to the end of the world. So again, the material cause is dirt. The formal cause, the form we take, is body and soul combination. What is the efficient cause? God's grace. He's the carpenter, the divine, who made us this way for the final cause of salvation. So yeah, and again, maybe
Jump into the heresy of not putting the God before the material also.
what do you mean? Explain.
Like,
no, what I'm saying is I don't understand what you're saying. What do you mean? What would be the heresy, or what do you explain what you mean?
Just like first there was the dust.
Oh no, of course, yeah, no. So God, no, but that's right. Okay, now I got it. Of course, yeah, no. God is not third. Of course, God is.
You have to remember that.
But we talked about that. What I said is what makes Christianity so awesome, and praise God, it is the truth. Thank God, praise Jesus Christ. I'm talking about even if you're like an atheist, as a philosopher, like with no skin in the game. Christianity is both, the abstract and the practical. Christ says when they're criticizing him, how you've met Abraham, you're not even 4 years old. John chapter 8, and it says John chapter 8:58, before Abraham was, I am. So it's like Christ both comes as God-man in the incarnation in the middle of history after a bunch of stuff's happened, but he's also the eternal word of God through which all is made at the beginning. So no, God is the zero cause, you could say, before you're talking about material causes, right? But I mean efficient cause, not third in the process, because you're right, that would be heretical. I'm saying that you could say he's the zero cause, the foundational ontological reality, which was our logic at the beginning of the world class, the whole point of that, right? And then the material cause, all is built up, and then he also intervenes. He's always, his grace is always the efficient, vivificating agent throughout our lives. All right, guys, let's be done basically, because my head is about to explode. This has been so cool, such great information. I'm gonna go back to page 5, next class. Actually, I'm gonna end there totally. Because it was like a plane taking off or how else can I put it? A rocket ship taking off. It was very, very important to get these kind of basic points down first, like who Aristotle was, laying out his theory. We probably covered by my count, I guess, I don't know, 35 points. But again, if that's all we talked about, we do, yeah, we have 2 days. That's what I'm saying, yeah. If all we talked about Aristotle was this today, it's still good. The 4 causes, his teleology, but no, next class, we're gonna talk all about what he means by eudaimonia, virtue ethics, the point of the state, the point of the common good, all these kind of like, we're going to get very practical. We've laid out what he believes, his deductive, inductive reasoning, his idea ultimately, right, in doxa and reality and presuppositions. Next class, we're going to, are we talking about physics? No, not much, I think. You're welcome to. We're going to talk about his ethical theory next class, political theory, and the nature of happiness, dominantly, those 3 things. I have to for the sake, I mean, again, I'm telling you, we could not do a class in Aristotle. We could do like a year on Aristotle. Very easily. We could easily
Class on this much of Aristotle.
That's what I mean. So I have to, am I gonna talk about his physics? No, not necessarily. Next class will be again his political theory, ethical/moral theory, the meaning of happiness. But I'm excited that we have 2 days on him because we built into who he is and we can really kind of get after him. That's why I have 6 classes on Aquinas. We're gonna start off with Aquinas of like very foundational. Class number 1, here's who Thomas Aquinas was, the person locked in the tower by his brothers, tempted by the prostitute, all the stories, he has to run away to join the Dominicans. Blah, 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 blah. He's the dumb ox, that famous story. One day the dumb ox will bellow so loud his bellows will fill the whole world. Who said that quote? Who knows? Who said that? St. Albert the Great, or Jimmy Buffett, either one. But so next class come Monday, we have like 6-7 pages left. We're just going to dive right into what's awesome is this class again was a lot of building up the framework of who Aristotle was. Taught by Plato. Here's his base. Next class, you already know this. We can just like directly IB, like right into the veins. Okay, so Aristotle, meaning of happiness. Don't have to do the intro next class. Anyone have any kind of final questions, final thoughts, final whatever, anything?
When you talked earlier about the 2 extremes of thought and don't fall on either side, basically. I just happen to immediately think about Republican Democrat in our current.
Absolutely, yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
no search and cleaning that debate.
Absolutely. There's no middle ground. It's a zero-sum game. I'm a Republican, so I want every Democrat arrested. I'm a Democrat, I want every Republican arrested. They're evil. Like, yeah, they're the new Adolf Hitler, whoever it is. Just like, it's so stupid. Yeah. Okay. God bless you guys. Father Ben, I really can't thank you enough. Thank you for leading our class in prayer. Whatever is good in this class, thank you for being a priest. That's awesome. God bless you. A reminder always to pray for priestly vocations and the wonderful priests who do serve us. Tonight, Spirit and Life. Way more important stuff before Spirit and Life starts. There's confession, right? And Mass and all that. Adoration. The patristic fathers. And church history / so I told you, I'm gonna do it in triple level. I'm gonna start off with a paragraph that's complete nonsense because I want to, like total joke, and talk about how it should be surprising that you might be surprised I'm a historian because they're so boring and dumb and like whatever and like and here I come to the rescue. So it's gonna start off with a fun like icebreaker, but I'm gonna have a triple series section of like, here's all the important dates that happened. Section A, like in this patristic era, which is from the 1st to the 8th century AD. And then I title like a message to Protestants where I say like, look, if you're only Christian, all the church fathers believe the Catholic doctrines, talking about what the church fathers believed about Our Lady, the Eucharist, and church authority. And then I'm going to finish up with like, hey, do you want 2 really cool examples? Benedict of Nursia and St. Anthony of Egypt. These 2 different monks, very different, the hermitage monasticism of Anthony. So it's going to be a very serious, very, deep, and this is no self-compliment, just like the material itself is amazing. But start off with some fun and then we'll answer questions at the end and all that. But again, beforehand is all the typical awesome Wednesday stuff in the church. So see you then. Take care until Monday.